moving on, another thing that should be very good for business, considering somehow they had abysmal ratings for UFC 213 and UFC Long Island, which I'd like to talk to you about. And really, I want to talk about main 3 or 4 fights and ask you 3 questions. Not really 3 questions, but it's one question that has 3 parts to it. We're going to get into UFC 214. Okay.
Card of the year, easily. Card of the year, easily.
And, of course, like you said before, card of the year if it stays intact, which features champion, Daniel Cormier versus, he's actually not a co-champion. He's just the #1 challenger, and he's back, John Jones. You have Tyron Woodley putting his belt on the line, welterweight belt on the line versus Damian Maia. That's at 170. You have Chris Cyborg, who's back finally. That'll fight Tanya Evinger for the vacant 145. I guess that's featherweight bout. And then we have a good barn burner here, Robbie Lawler versus Donald Cerrone.
Finally.
Woo! Finally. And then to start
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We got one more week.
Fingers crossed. We have less than one more week, but yeah, that's how we got to think of it, sadly, these years. And then starting off the card, Jimmy Manuwa, this is like probably a number 1 contenders fight for the light heavyweight bout versus Volkan Ozdemir. And I really want to get into the main fights, the title fights. You can throw Robbie Lawler and Donald Cerrone in there, but my question is for you, 1, are they going to show up and make weight and fight? Who's going to win? Where do you think the fighter goes from here? I think the last one is more so for DC Jones, just for the fact that if you lose and somehow it could be a draw, like they got to be so upset with themselves, they might just go away like we've seen other champions go away. So you think they're going to show up, make weight, and fight? Just for everyone who's going to win, who you got, and where do they go from there, 1791?
I mean, let's start with John Jones and DC. Yeah. Let's get right to it. Most important one. I mean, I hope DC makes weight because that towel trick ain't cutting it this time. That towel trick is not happening, man.
They're cutting it. I got that.
but I think they both make weight. Now, other than that, I want to bet against John Jones so bad and say that DC is going to find the potion. He's going to find the potion to finally, he's going to crack the code to the John Jones jaw and land a nice one. I mean, John Jones, I don't think there's really too much things as ring rust for him. He's too calculated and actually smart of a fighter to have ring rust and let that affect him. But it's just, man, his body type is what makes him so dominant.
So Vince St. Preux, that was supposed to be him in DC. I'm not sure if that John Jones would it be would it be DC that day?
No way, he wouldn't have, and that's the thing too. You make a great point. I got ring rust of thinking about John Jones in my head. But I really want DC to win. And, I mean, if I had to put my money on someone, I hate to say it, but I'd probably put my money on John Jones. If I'm going to go with my gut, DC's going to take it, but he's got to finish him. He's not going to win a decision. And if he finishes John Jones, where does he go from here? Who knows? I guess Jimmy Manuwa, if he wins, because if Volkan wins, it's going to be hard to book him for a title match.
Right.
He's not going to sell. And knowing the way that they book, I mean, I didn't go on that road for nothing. But yeah, I'm going to go with DC. I got DC by the 3rd round. Call me crazy.
Wow,
I got DC by the 3rd round.
A decision. Like everything Jones has been doing lately has been a decision. But wow, you think he gets him the 3rd? So your first question though, I have it open right here. If you did want to place your money on DC and he did win, he'd be looking pretty good. Jones is a -255 favorite over DC. And DC's the freaking champ, and obviously it's only lost to him. So say you put $100 on DC at 235 plus 235 odds, you win 335, you win 235, and then you win $100 that you initially bet. So hey, that can make you pay for Bourne Legacy Supreme, huh?
Yeah, you ain't lying.
But man, that's a tough call too. I'm to the point where I'm just more of a fan right now. I just want them to show up and make weight and not pull an Amanda Nunes and fight. Please just
Oh,
fight.
my gosh.
I don't wake up with like that ticker tape across the bottom that says UFC so-and-so is out because of such and such. They had a tummy ache.
Yeah.
You know? I just let me count down the days. What is flashing them off the old school calendar, counting down the days. But you know, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that fight. But I guess real quickly, just to have like maybe a 30-second discussion on it. It is low-key a super fight. She's the 135 champ from Invicta, which is semi-owned by the UFC. But you think Cyborg mauls her? Do you think Cyborg makes weight? That would be my money, and who freaking wouldn't make weight? You know? And takes it. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's hard to tell. I think Cyborg is going to take it, man. She's just too much. Like, I haven't seen her been beat up, like, at all, you know? So
right.
It's hard to say that she's gonna lose. Even Tanya's a champ, but so is Cyborg. Like they're fighting for a vacant belt, but it's not like Cyborg's not a champ, man.
Right. This is for a vacant championship. I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah, right. At least it's not an interim championship. I'm still waiting on my call. I'm still waiting on my interim championship call.
I don't know. After the way you talked about Dana White and Conor McGregor, they might be lining it up for you. Okay. So what about Woodley Maya, huh? That's like, I don't know. That's like one of those things where in the mixed martial arts world, there's probably people like myself, I have a wrestling background. I'm like, Woodley's going to ragdoll this guy. And then you have the people that, thought it was cool to take up, like, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's a 5-time world champion. Like, don't underestimate Maya. He might come out of the blue and surprise a lot of people. What you thinking there?
I mean, listen, I got a wrestling background, but I mean, I also dabbled a little bit in in Goju and Jiu-Jitsu, and this is such a style matchup because I believe Tyron Woodley's too much to be able to get handled on the ground. Like, let's say, I'd hate to make this type of comparison, but just because of the simple fact of the stand-up ability between the two, someone like Paul Daly, who looks so dominant in some fights standing up, but then he gets taken down and he gets chopped up. But Woodley's wrestling's way better than Daly. The thing is that man, Maya is a different animal. He's got to be the best. I mean, but he's got to be the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist in the game right now. So it's like, if he gets a hold of Woodley and it goes to the ground, unless that brute strength is going to be able to get him out, it's tough. And then the tricky part that plays into it, it's like, Maya's got to get him early when he's dry.
Right.
But if he's lucky enough to gas Woodley, he's got to get a hold of him, but then it's harder to get a submission in the later rounds, but Maya's the guy to be able to do that too. I'm banking on Woodley landing something early. If Woodley doesn't land something in the first round or 2 rounds, I think he's going to slowly get diced up, and it just might be a real razor-thin decision. It's going to be tough to say that. Yeah, it's going to be tough to say that Maya actually ends up closing the submission on him. But if he controls that ground game, fighting for a submission, you know how the judges are. So it's just, I got to go with Woodley ending it early, though. Those hands, man, those hands are something else.
Yeah, people talk about Yoel Romero's size and what his body looks like being an action figure. So does Tyron Woodley, and he weighs 170 versus 185. But yeah, if there's someone that can brute strength themselves out of certain positions, yes. But technique's going to overcome strength in certain things. So he might have his chances. But all I know is, especially judging from last night, Tyron Woodley feels pretty damn confident. He was at UFC Long Island as a commentator, and he fights literally in 7 days. So they're like, "Why are you here? The busiest person in the sports business." Huh? He's like, "I'm ready. I am ready."
Right.
So I'm not sure if his overconfidence, might get the best of him, but it's definitely an interesting fight that I think a lot of hardcore MMA fans are really looking into. I know GSP said the best 170-pounder is Damian Maia, and he says he'll let the world know that soon. So I don't know. I might take it as a grain of salt, but, really good matchup there.
The tear that Maia's been on, I would not be surprised.
Right. And just real quickly, it's not a title fight, but still like a fan favorite, Lawler versus Cerrone. Supposed to be on UFC 213. Now it's on 214, even better. Going to be worth the wait.
Oh, man, I don't want to pick a loser. Can they draw? Is it allowed? Am I allowed to want to draw as a fan? I don't want to pick a loser, man.
As an analyst, but as a fan, sure. It's technically a loser, right? Yeah.
Every round, 10-10.
Yeah.
But no, if I have to go with someone, I might have to lean to Cerrone. I gotta lean Donald Cerrone's way honestly, man, his stand-up his stand-up is no question. I mean, his kickboxing background is well known, and obviously Robbie Lawler's stand-up's no joke either. So I guess you could call them even there, and you gotta give it to what goes down in the ground game, and I gotta lean Cerrone's way when it goes down to the ground game. Not to take anything away from Lawler, but, I mean, Cerrone works well off the back, works well takedowns, and all around. He's got a little bit more submission game than Robbie Lawler has displayed. So I have to lean Cerrone's way because of that, but I just want to see these two guys stand in the middle of the ring and just punch and kick each other's heads off. Is that fair to say?
That is more than fair to say. I completely agree with you myself. I can't wait to see it, and whoever wins is fine with me. I give it to Lawler, then he calls out Woodley, although obviously he's fighting next, turn 2, but it may be as soon as he fights the winner. Yeah, really good takes on UFC 214. I know we're winding it down, but still I want to real quickly, I'll try to speed through it, give Cageside Carter's weekly rant. Last week, he ripped into Amanda Nunes, claiming she was ill and forcing her out of UFC 213. And yes, I was right. The numbers came out, and it was one of the worst pay-per-views, view-wise, in the history of the UFC. But for this week, I want to talk about something controversial. It's not so much a rant, but I want to talk about the N-word. The N-word's use in sports. Not that N-word, but the N-word I'm talking about is N for narrative. And what's a narrative? A narrative is a spoken or written account of connected events. A narrative is a story. And there's no better sports story narrative story in the UFC or MMA than next week's main event fight, UFC 214, between Daniel Cormier, DC, and John Bones Jones. They are bitter rivals, but this fight is a battle of what the same WWF announcer, R.I.P. Gorilla Monsoon, would call what happens when the irresistible force meets the immovable object.
Talk that narrative shit.
Yeah, talk that N-word narrative shit, man. And this match is kind of like WWE's Attitude Era babyface versus heel concept, where the crowd loves the heel, which in essence can make him the babyface. That is John Jones being the heel because of his non-compliance and horrific things he did outside of the octagon, DWI, hit and run on a pregnant woman, the cocaine incident, and convicted of PED usage and stripped of his title not once but twice. While on the other hand, you have, the family man, college grad, American Olympic wrestler, a captain of his MMA team, and he's your light heavyweight champion, Daniel Cormier. But yet, DC is the heel. Back in the day, Nike sponsored John Jones, and he had a walkout shirt where the tagline was, "Not quite human." The irony is, after his sponsorship, he started getting into trouble, falling into temptations, and by doing so, became quite human. And I think that feeling of not being invincible is what endeared him to casual and hardcore MMA fans. While on the other hand, DC tried to be the face and make himself be a hero, a perfect person in which many fight fans could not and would not relate to. Only thing is, DC's got one blemish that Proactive can't even get rid of. And that's his only loss, Jones. Yes, who is on his way as going down as the pound-for-pound greatest fighter ever. Yet, Jones hasn't fought in over a year. He didn't look good in his last fight against OSP Oven St. Preux. Fans wonder if he's going to be rusty. His legacy is in question because he did get popped for some type of performance-enhancing drug. But yet, Jones is the favorite against the champ. This is the N-word. This is the narrative. This is MMA sports story of all time. And let's keep it real. If you've seen the promos, these two do not like each other. Twitter insults have been hurled back and forth. You can go online and find those. But in the UFC 214 promo titled Tame Your Demons, I've never seen two athletes so tied to each but two fighters where their self-respect and self-satisfaction comes from winning this one fight. Jones says at the end of the trailer, "I need to win this fight. I need to get my life back." DC
the
says,
hatred is real.
Yeah, it's so real. DC says, "I need to beat Jones, and I need to beat him one more time to show it wasn't a fluke." All I need to say is to you, John Jones, you're getting something most people always want in life, and that's a second chance. Don't
Numero
screw it
dos.
up. Yeah, and make sure to show up. And DC, lead by your results, then your actions, and let fight fans now know. Beware of the underdog. Next week's fight is the irresistible force meets the immovable object. I can't wait. Please tune in. Buy the pay-per-view. Go to your local sports bar and tune into Battle Rap Radar, where we'll be updating you on the fight's action. That's Cageside Carter's Rant of the Week.
Boom!
Get him.
3-0.
Yeah. My body bag there. I should be on Mass 3. I live close enough. I'm kidding. But outside of that, we got to wind down the show. Last time we did a Fighter of the Week, the weigh-in award. I guess because it's a good field time, good story. We can give it to, I think we both can agree on this, for his heart and resiliency, and he was an underdog that came on top. But we can give it to Chris Weidman for this week for his display last night, right?
I say we give it to Chris Weidman, but I think we would be really, really wrong if we don't mention Alex Oliveira, the other cowboy.
Excuse me.
That knockout.
Excuse me.
Knockout. Unbelievable, man. The way, oh, man, that was incredible.
That, huh?
Yeah, he stepped back, taking a step back, right uppercut, right, just put him to sleep. He walk off knockout. It would be terrible if we didn't mention him.
All right, very good. So we can do that. So Wyman and Cowboy Rivera, the weigh-ins award, weigh-in a week. Pretty much out of time. Follow us on Battle Rap Radar, BATTLERAPRADAR. Hit that subscribe button, please. We appreciate it. I am Cageside Carter. Do you have any last words, 1791, or any shout-outs? Anything you want to say?
Battle Rap Radar, 1791, GIAN, 1791 on everything. We are out.
That's
Weigh in.
Right. Peace.